Hey everybody, how's it going? We got Eric in the house. How's it going, Eric?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Got a new feature on the
Yes,
screen. Can people see it right now?
yes. It is still in development, but I wanted to show the people how it's gonna look like.
It looks
Oh.
great. How much do I pay you to get DragonX to like have a bigger ROI number?
We can talk off stream, Always scale it a little bit more, It's like I don't know, probably 0.5 scale or something.
Yeah. I know what you could do is like have featured bubbles, There you go. There's an ad idea for you. Featured bubble.
Oh
And you
yeah.
put it up there and then as who cares what the ROI is, but boom, there it is.
Just bigger than everybody else. Doesn't matter what the RI is.
Yeah, way more prominent. Blinking.
Yeah.
Put some lights flashing on it.
One thing I was thinking about is because I'm updating the price every whatever a few seconds.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking if when the price changes, it glows. If it's positive, it glows up and it gets bigger, and then well, red the other way around. I don't know, but I was like, okay, maybe that's too much now.
So what is this? This is over what time frame?
Well, this is just 24 hours essentially.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you going to have
just
different options, or are you just going to ship with 24 hours first? Or
I'm gonna ship 24 hours first. I mean, later on we can
okay.
add all kinds of stuff. I mean, we can
Yeah.
see like how many like the projects, how much Titanic it has burned. Like I mean, pretty much anything else. But I think for the beginning, the 24 hours thing will be the best. I think. I mean, I think it
Yeah.
looks fucking
I'm
cool,
about to
right?
say that, like who's burned? Obviously, DragonX would be
Yeah.
after after Titanx would be number one. So obviously, I want that, but I think it's a good idea, like burn bubbles, like a mount burn.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. Or all time would also be cool.
Yeah. That's
Like you have
like all time.
from
Like
inception of Titan
say that again.
or from project launch, basically same thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, that could also be a thing. Yeah, but I mean, for now, I think the 24 hours. I think it looks pretty cool because the idea was yesterday. I think Jake was asking. He's like, "Hey, can you do this?" I'm just like, oh, I had it already essentially, but there
You
was a
did.
lot of things which are
Okay.
not working correctly. But then today I was like, okay, let me sit down, iron it out. I'm gonna have a stream with Eric. Let me push it. But unfortunately, I pushed into the server, but there's still an error. So this is just the local server you're seeing here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
looks
But I think
fantastic. I mean, is there a threshold listing on here, or is it just whatever's on Titanx Hub? I guess is
uh,
whatever the same criteria. Okay.
the same criteria, pretty much, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
whatever is essentially listed on the normal Titanic sub, all the information comes from there, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing which I mean here this is the prime spot at the top here obviously, right? So we got Phoenix now launching soon.
Yeah.
So this is something which I added like just a few days ago that there is a link directly to the website. I think that's
Awesome.
also
That's great.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean
Is something
obviously
showing?
yeah, I think it's already
Not to
showing
change the
something.
subject, but
Yeah, yeah, no worries. Let me share this tab
I'm
instead
excited for
here.
this one. Okay, just
Are
this
you?
start. Yeah. I am. Yeah.
All right, yeah, because I thought it's like,
I'm excited.
you're a bit more competitive, and you're like, he's gonna take over the pool,
Nah.
and
Nah, I think our position is looking pretty good right now. 50%,
yeah,
right? According to Site, about past 50% yet, actually.
yeah, around 50%, like from what we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can have a look. I think it should be around 50% or so.
49.8%.
All right, it was 50 though.
Was it? Uh-oh. Someone's competing
I,
with us, huh?
is Helios taking over slowly in the background without
Helios
you noticing?
behind.
It j-
No, it's
let
all
me
good.
let me change the audio a little bit here because for whatever reason, I hear you like a few milliseconds later. Let me see.
Okay.
Okay.
But the audio quality.
Say that again.
How is the audio quality coming from my end? Is it good? Mike? Did have this.
Okay.
Can you
Am
hear
I
me?
on?
Yeah, you're on.
All right. Okay. I don't
Okay.
know. So yeah, there was. I don't know. Maybe it's just on my end. The delay. It's a bit weird, but yeah, it's all good.
Okay. Maybe trying to think. It must be my connection, yeah. Are you playing it? Is that why? Is it?
I mean, probably the people out there. Can you hear Eric well, or is it just probably on my end?
Let's see if anyone says anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, here.
I'm sorry.
Emo says
It's probably,
Haley's is coming for the dragon.
I'm cutting out.
Okay.
It's
Eric sounds fine. Good. I can
yeah.
hear.
We
I
don't
don't
know. Okay. I mean,
Mm.
I guess there's a. Can you hear me?
I mean, yeah, both are clear. Okay. Well, then I guess. Okay. Mackenzie says choppy. Who's choppy?
Chop.
Eric has his hand over his mouth, so I don't know what he's
No,
talking.
I don't. Choppy. Oh god.
Everyone here's different. What's going on?
Every other word. Every other word. That's not good.
Okay, cutting out 100% for certain. Eric is. Okay. Eric, what's up with your internet, man? Is Spain.
It's still good apparently.
Yeah. Eric is choppy. Okay. And
Is it
Moses,
that
I
bad?
hear
Should we postpone?
yeah,
Should we postpone live event?
Eric cutting in and out. I mean, do you have
Hmm.
another alternative internet
I can
connection?
try. Yeah, I can try with data actually.
Yeah. So,
Better.
I mean, somebody says
Give
Mike
me
is
1
good.
second.
Well, yeah, no worries. We're still here. So, guys, we were just checking how DragonX, how big of a percentage they have. Where was that data? Should be somewhere here. Oh, there it is. 49.8. If I'm not mistaken, it was already over 50, around 50 or so. But I mean, it's very near to 50. But I believe there is. Mackenzie is saying Eric didn't pay internet bills and buy more Dragon Eggs. Bullish.
Is it better now? Is it better now? Yes, no, maybe.
I mean, I
Better?
can hear you. I
Please say
can hear
better.
you a bit better now. Yes.
A bit better. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely not choppy now.
Okay. It's not choppy. That's good.
Not choppy. Yeah. So that's good. It's better.
It's
People
better.
are saying it's
People
better.
saying
Well,
better. Great.
that's great.
Proceed.
All right, Eric. So I mean, one thing I actually checked was the last time we did an interview. That was back then in, if I'm not mistaken, when was it? And it was for 4 hours. I mean, obviously, I left after 2 hours or so, but you continued. You remember?
Yeah, that was in August. Wow, we haven't streamed since August. Crazy.
I think so. I think that was the case. So that was in August, and
Yeah.
and then a few days later, the like everything started popping off, like DragonX and everything else. So
Yeah. So maybe again, now this is it, huh? You're going to be the start of the next 800% run in DragonX. Is that what you're
I
trying to
mean,
say?
somebody reminded me on Twitter about that, about the last stream we did, and we're doing another one now. So I'm just like, hey, I don't know, maybe who knows?
You want to pull up the DragonX chart? It's looking pretty good, actually. I think it's the dump is over. I would say it was really good how TitanX responded to this latest, basically liquidation wick that happened. Like it didn't move at all. It was really strong.
Want to check it out? Whoops, DragonX. Alrighty. Do you
It's
look
looking
more
good.
at the ratio or like at the dollar price?
I look at both, but
Okay.
dollar price, it's definitely holding up. Actually, what's the ratio right now?
The ratio, I'm gonna go ratio 11.1. Pretty
11.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This has been a pretty strong point here.
yeah.
We
This is
we haven't broken 10 in months, right? Not since August.
yeah. I mean, this it's pretty good,
That was the
pretty
first
good.
time.
But so I mean, this is also one is something in the title I put on is they still 1.7 million ETH, $1.7 million right
Yeah.
now, and that hasn't been turned on yet. So I mean, all these is essentially all natural people buying and selling essentially happening. No more market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
Buy&Burn. If you go to the new DragonX website, you'll see all the stats of what's burning DragonX
oh,
and how much is being burned each day.
I'm gonna go there
So
to
yeah, if you go
the
to
stats
stats,
page, right? By
yep.
the way, shout out to you, man. This is a very beautiful website, man. I mean, you know me, I like these, like when things look really, really nice. I was impressed. I tell you that.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was all done in Framer, so Framer is really powerful. But and then we're making API calls directly from that, so it's a great framework.
Great framework. Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, I really like it.
This was designed by the same guy who did the HYDRA logo.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay. I think I think I've he posted some few things online on Twitter, I think, right?
Yeah, are you following? He does fantastic design work. Great guy.
Yes, I follow him, and yeah, potentially he's making some animation for me as well. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have my own designer who does a lot of really good stuff, but animation not as good. So I was like, maybe I try your designer there. But yeah, but
Yeah,
okay. But show us the new website here. Like, tell us like what's going on here. What are the stats? What's up here?
yeah. This is total Titan X burned up here. You can see the amount, the dollar value of the amount burned, basically, and the amount that's been minted, like just compared right there. And down here, you have each protocol that burns DragonX and how much they're burning on a daily basis, and then how much has been burned total.
Mhm.
Um,
Is
Titan
HYDRA
Farms.
now is the highest? Yeah.
Titan. Well, the Ethereum originally
Oh,
obtained by
HYDRA. Sorry.
TitanX.
Oh, okay.
The Ethereum originally obtained because we got it during such a low level. Like we were burning a ton of DragonX at much lower prices. So we got 8 million off the market at that price level. Excuse me. But yeah, HYDRA would be the biggest burner out of the recent build on DragonX
Gotcha.
stuff that has happened. It's crazy. HYDRA's not even been out for 88 days yet. It already feels old, you know?
If
It's
it,
not
yeah,
old at all.
absolutely. If it's old, but I mean, the burning is happening. This is crazy. The last 24 hours,
Yeah.
19,000 already. And is that going to ramp up actually for HYDRA, right? It should be, no?
The amount burned, it's dependent on the TitanX DragonX ratio. Yes, right, because it's buying DragonX with TitanX and burning the DragonX from that. So the efficiency of HYDRA is based on the TitanX DragonX ratio.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Then we have Titan Farm. It's a smaller burner, but it still burns. Morpheus doing a really good job burning. Actually, I think it's that second. Oh no, Viper's got the second place there. AwesomeX doing a good job. AwesomeX is mooning. We could talk about that a bit later. If you want, we can go through the different DragonX built on DragonX protocols.
No worries.
We can look at their chart and everything, and we can see how they're doing. They're doing really well.
Gotcha.
There's great stuff coming for Morpheus and AwesomeX. I've been talking to both teams.
Mhm.
But yeah, Viper killed it. I mean, Viper burned 500,000, 76 billion DragonX, which is insane.
But let me ask you this: is this the dollar amount here is just the current dollar price, right?
That's the current dollar price, right? So if the
Okay.
DragonX 10x is in, they burn 5 million of DragonX.
Okay.
More
I think
DragonX.
what would be probably no bad idea would just to also show the percentage they've burned to the total
That could be cool.
supply, something like that.
Yeah, be
Because
nice.
then at least you know, because these numbers sometimes they don't say much. Percentage could
Yeah.
say like a yeah,
Mm.
and potentially also just list them as how much they've burned as well. Rank them.
Yeah. Yeah, we wanted to feature HYDRA, obviously. You know, we kind of featured our stuff first here, which is
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Yes.
But then what you're gonna have is like it's changing all the time, and then we have to keep bugging the guy for updates. And
I mean, you
but
can
yeah, I
make
see
it
what you're saying.
dynamic.
Yeah, you could probably make it dynamic.
Yeah, you can
I
make
don't
it
know what the
dynamic.
limitations on Framer are. Like, I don't know how much you can do. I'm sure you could have conditional logic in Framer to do that.
I mean, I believe so. I don't know Framer, to be honest, but I believe so. I mean, that should be. I mean, these numbers do update as well, right? So it's just a matter
Yeah,
of now. Yeah, I don't know Framer, so but that could be interesting.
I imagine you can have like Boolean logic for showing and hiding and ordering things. This seems like it would be like a reasonable thing for a Framer to have.
I would say so. I
Um,
would say so too.
yeah.
All right. I mean, we
Yeah,
also
here's the
have
total.
element 280 as well. I mean, hey.
Yeah, I know. Element 280. That's a lot of DragonX. It's kind of a sleeper project, you know. We didn't. I never like streamed with Dude about it. We never talked about it, but it's done a fantastic job
Yeah,
burning
and
tokens.
this is
Burned a lot of HYDRA too.
and this is also not even a build on build on DragonX project. It's like completely build on everything. Build on the Titan X project completely, right? All of the projects.
Yeah, yeah. It's not exclusive to us.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm very bullish on build on DragonX stuff. I mean, like I think the DragonX price is it's ready to pop. Since my last stream when I was talking about the value of KOLs, we've basically landed on a couple of different KOL partnerships, which will be rolling out in the next few days. So I'm not going to say who they are, but one of them's already started to talk about us on his show, the Gray BTC. But we have another guy who he has 1 million on Twitter.
Damn.
He's big. He's really big, and he's taken some projects from like hundreds of millions into the billions, which is why we liked him, because he has a track record. And so yeah, that's a big guy. And then I mentioned already that we're going on Ivan. Ivan may be. It's very likely that Ivan will be showcasing Titan Farms, and then we have another KOL. I'll be retweeting when it comes up, but I won't mention any names right now. But that's kicking out in the very near future. So
Okay.
yeah, I think this is a turning point month. What do you think?
I mean, this is also something I was listening to last one of your stream, the last one. I think was a very good stream. I don't know if it's because you didn't stream for such a long time. You're preparing all the talking points, and then you came back and you gave us all the alpha, or because I think right afterwards I sent you a text and I was like, "Hey, Eric, man, really good stream. Really liked it."
Thanks. No, it's good to be back streaming. As you can see, I'm still coughing a little bit, but I think I'm ready to hit it. I wanna get on Joe Parr's stream as well. I think I mentioned all this last time, but there's a time to do this kind of thing, you know, like you don't want to time it and then have it fall flat because the market's not ready for it.
Hmm.
But what we're seeing now is that there's a chart, a really good chart. I actually don't have it with me, otherwise I'd show it. Actually, maybe I can pull it up. I'll send it to you real quick.
Yeah,
But
no
basically,
worries.
chart that shows the efficacy of KOLs over time here, based on like the YouTube views that the various large KOL pages are getting.
Yeah, I can pull
It's
it
a
up
really
if you
chart.
send it to me.
Can I find it? No, I'm gonna have to look later for it, but it's a really, really informative chart for people that are gonna like enter into the world of KOLs, because it basically shows you like, okay, they're starting to get valuable again, you know, because they just went through this period of they weren't getting nearly as much engagement as they can during like euphoric times. So, but we're getting back to that. So this is a good time. and it's coinciding with like a shakeout in TitanX, which is fantastic. Shakeout in DragonX. So I think it's going to be really, really good. It's an experiment. We haven't really ventured into this world before so much. We had Joe Paris, we're very lucky to have him. But in terms of new people, I think it's definitely the time to start experimenting with some new folks.
So what made you think like, okay, maybe this is a good experiment to go about, and like, what was the catalyst for you to go about this experiment? Because I remember in the beginning you were like, fuck KOLs and everything. So I guess now things change a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily fuck KOLs, but it's just a lot of the KOLs out there are just they're very transactional. We're working with KOLs right now that are much less transactional in the sense that they give us really good deals. It feels like we're being taken care of. They offer us a lot of tweets, a lot of coverage, and a lot of their content is actually not just shilling the next token. It's actually substantive content that people would watch regardless of whether or not they're going to buy any of the promoted tweets or any of the other tweets that are being covered. So there are some valuable KOLs out there, but most KOLs, they're faking followers. They're jumping from one project to the next. They're shilling rugs. They're not doing any due diligence. And that really damages, you know?
Gotcha.
Catalyst was like us realizing that, okay, we're this core group of people that are in, let's call it like pure DeFi or like this, you know, kind of like the same ethos and communities or of Zen and Pulse. And we need to, the mainstream is being obliterated by all kinds of terrible things. And we're in this little world where like we care about audits, we care about founders being doxxed, we care about good token economics. And that's actually a subset or a little corner of crypto. And that's really too bad, you know? And the other thing is we don't really want TitanX to become this really insular thing where people are only talking to each other and we're not getting any new users in, you know? So, I mean, there are meme coins. Is some of the KOLs that we're working with, like they shill a meme coin. It has 7 to 10,000 holders, like in a few days, you know?
Crazy.
So that the scale that you can operate at is just a lot greater if you can find the right partner. And so yeah, we think that's a good catalyst for growth for TitanX, the entire community. We can get the word out about Titan Farms, and we can bring people in, and that benefits all tokens because people will buy Titan Farms pairs, and they'll basically, like, it could be any token, it could be any founder's token that gets bought, right? If the APY is high enough on Titan Farms, why not?
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think it was those elements. Like, I just think it's time to start experimenting with it. That the market's getting more frothy, and like the time could be right to break out of our shell that we're in. Especially since we've knocked a bunch of sellers have just capitulated. A lot of whales have capitulated. Like whenever the haters are hating hard and like gloating on us, that is the time. Like that is the time to like, okay, we've done our correction. They're doing victory laps, and then we can go up again, right? So when those guys are doing victory laps, that's like a sign that we're probably at a local bottom.
Gotcha. So
Ultimately, like, yeah, one last thing, sorry. Well, ultimately, like, I made a tweet about this. Like, what kills a projects don't die in crashes. They die with a whimper, and they die when communities effectively decide to move on and don't care anymore about something. So as long as enough people care about our ethos and care about security, decentralization, audits, docs founders, great token economics, and want more people to know about that, TitanX will continue to exist, right? When people decide that they care about other things and they let TitanX die with a whimper, then that is when it dies. It doesn't die when a whale empties his wallet. Like we saw this numerous times with Hex. We saw this numerous times with other assets. Even a rug, even a project being straight up rugged, like the founder sells everything, rugs, and walks away. Even those projects with strong communities, they do a community takeover and they just keep going, you know?
Yep.
So a big price dip or a single massive event it won't kill your project. It never kills a project. And that's why I think it's funny that people focus on unlock events and this kind of thing. Yeah, sure, it dampens price, but ultimately community and adoption is what keeps the project going. So as long as you have those things, you're fine. That was my last point.
No worries. I mean, definitely one of the things I think the community right now, obviously, is like a bit on the low, and people are a bit more, they're more quiet now, obviously. But I think it's quite normal when the price is like just sideways. And whenever, like, I mean, I observe a little bit when I see like a little bit of green candles, like there's more tweets coming out, people coming out of the
Yeah.
woodworks and things like that. Yeah, but I think that's like a normal behavior I'm observing on Twitter, definitely.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's the points of the greatest opportunity too, you know? Like this was such an obvious buy the dip moment. You know, nothing has really changed. The buy and burn at one point during this dip, the buy and burn exceeded all of stake TitanX. You know, there's just the dollar value of the buy and burn exceeded the dollar value of all stake TitanX. So these lulls are what actually create bottoms and basically prime the chart to go higher again. And then, so that's when the people when people make their money effectively. And it's not because actually I was listening to someone say this today. It was really smart. It's like we're group animals, you know. You wouldn't have evolved if the entire group is moving in one direction. You would never have moved in the other direction. Only in a very, very rare circumstance would you like act in a way that the group was not acting, because it could be death to you if everyone is moving to one particular place to gather food or hunt or whatever. If you direction and you fought the group as they were moving in that direction, then it would be potentially catastrophic. So we're not really psychologically prepared for to move against the group. You know, it's something you have to fight.
So what does that mean in investing?
Well, it means you need to basically look at fundamentals, and you need to see beyond what the group is doing at the time, right? What the emotional feeling of the moment is doesn't actually dictate what the fundamentals of the project are, to an extent. Obviously, if everyone has decided to move on from the project, then it's ultimately dead. But when you just have bad sentiment and you have people selling, then that's a sign that, well, okay, you need to look at the fundamentals of a project, right? Like how much is in the buy and burn? What is the economic energy backing this project? What's coming? What's upcoming, right? We have like 6 more protocols launching this week. Or not this week, but like this month. Right?
Yeah,
we have Phoenix, Felix, ORX, etc., Ascendant. I always mess up their name, even though I'm advising
Matrix.
but Matrix. So yeah, there's just a lot happening, right? And there's really no reason to be particularly worried. Like obviously the rotation out of Bitcoin hasn't happened yet, and people aren't moving into Ethereum yet. So there's not a big reason to freak out. Like Ethereum hasn't moved that much. We're a derivative on Ethereum to an extent because of the buy and burn kind of backs us. So yeah, it's just really a dip moment.
That's fantastic. I mean, we have here. I'm just looking at my bubbles, man. I like them, man. I see like DragonX 10%.
I know ORX is pumping hard, huh?
ORX is pumping. I don't know. It's like I was just checking it yesterday, and I couldn't believe like what was going on. But I think I was talking to Super Shadowy, and he was also saying that if you look at how much there is in the BNB and the current market cap, essentially it's as much as in the BNB as the market cap right now, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what he mentioned.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's such an obvious buy opportunity. Like that's one thing that other ecosystems don't have, you know? You can really run the next projects. Like if the buy and burn balance relative to the market cap just starts to get absurd.
Yeah.
It's like such an obvious buy opportunity. You know, if there's no buy and burn or whatever, things are fizzling out, that's something else. But it's just that's such a good sign of irrationality, you know? Like we've reached an irrational point. Clearly we've reached an irrational point.
Absolutely, you're damn right. And by the way, Mo is saying I made a video last night talking about RX. It was all me, lol. Yes. So let's see, where was the video yesterday? So probably somewhere here, and then the price pumped, and then more dumped. All right, I see. Nah, I'm just
No,
messing, man.
there. So Wallace. I'm still waiting for the video, Mo, where you're gonna talk about how DragonX is looking bullish.
100% buy and burn
Um,
with RX. Yes, that's correct.
Whoops.
Oh, and we got McKinsey here. When Morgan.
Mo trading bot.
Yeah. All right. All right. So we
So
RX, yeah. So this is, I mean, this is also something I mean, probably if you look at other communities, right? I mean, we have all the buy and burns, essentially, like all of the projects initially definitely all have the buy and burn, and I mean some like ran out or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's like we all have a buy and burn, right? How big of an advantage is that compared to, let's say, other projects?
I think it provides a psychological support. Again, it all goes back to like the social dynamics of the project, you know. It gives people a sense of like, okay, there is something backing this thing, which is confidence, which has a lot of value beyond the dollar value. You know, so if you can utilize that in a way that's combined with other things, then you could potentially have a more powerful effect than if you just rely on the buy and burn. You don't want people to rely on the buy and burn,
Yeah.
but you want them to understand that there is economic energy behind the project and that it's a backstop, right? It provides a intrinsic value to the project, and that can be a springboard for other things, right? That's that psychological red line or psychological barrier that doesn't get crossed, that allows you to bounce back. Which is why, again, I understand people who call for the buy and burn to be used left and right. Like the buy is and you don't necessarily need it, obviously, but it's just a nice tool to have, and just having that tool provides a lot of like beneficial just sentiment toward the project. And as I said, I mean, it's something you could trade. You could trade on like the irrationality of people selling something like down to the market cap of the buy and burn, or close to the market cap of buy and burn, similar to HYDRA right now, which is looking pretty heavily sold.
All right.
Look at HYDRA. Now it's starting to pump. It's 10% today.
Oh, look at that HYDRA, man! I like these bubbles, man. These bubbles are great. All right. Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, someone did a big buy there. Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But
They sniped the bottom there, huh? Wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. That's crazy.
I wonder, whoever that is, man, they need to like share what their strategy is.
But it was not
Is it-
like, yeah,
could
it
it
was
pick
still a big
bottoms?
buy though, right? Was it? Where is it? Oh,
Massive.
here.
Well, it
Massive.
created a big green candle. Is that one person? Could have been some multiple people, right? Is this daily? And it's 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
It was one person.
It can be. Yeah, it should be one person. Well, somebody believed.
Somebody believed.
That's for sure.
Because at that point now where buy and burn was like covering the entire liquid supply. It was 100K buy.
Yeah, it was a 100K buy. Emilio is saying crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Volgom is saying bubbles are sick. Shout out to you. I love the bubbles. They will be live soon, man. I love my bubbles, man. I love my bubbles. Yeah. It's and also I got feedback from McKinsey as well, because some of the icons were not rounded yet. So that's something which I worked on. But anyway, Eric, I mean, also one thing I would like to talk about with you, obviously, is going to be Matrix. So
let's do it. What can you share?
The things I can share is let me just pull something up here. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna share the TL draw, my usual way stuff here. Yeah, you see that. I mean, we can go through some of this as well. I'm not sure if you went through my last stream yet, but probably we can just go through it once again, and then probably you can ask some few questions regarding that. Anyway, for the viewers out there, just if you have any questions or anything, please join the Telegram group. I'm going to be there answering any questions for you. But I mean, you have the nice logo there. I like this logo. By the way, I got feedback from McKinsey as well, because I'm not sure if you know, but McKinsey always comments on design stuff, and sometimes they're very harsh and brutal, but I like it, and I'm just like, oh, let me approve it. But my designs with McKinsey, and then it's like, okay, the logo is fine. So yeah, I think the original logo, it had like a little thing down here, and McKinsey was like, yeah, get rid of that, and I got rid of
I can't even
it.
remember what it was. See, it couldn't have been very good.
I don't know. I thought it was okay, but then I was like, but then she was, nah, man, this is not good. So I was like, okay, I'll take it out. And I think that was for the better, because the thing is, there are some people who can view design and they just have an eye for it. Like I have a little bit of that, but not as much. Like when I see a beautiful design, I know it's like it looks beautiful, but I cannot exactly say it's like why it looks beautiful or anything, right? So, and at the end of the day, it's like I'm also more back end,
If you
usually.
go interest or what's that site that just showcases UX designs? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm not.
Like you can just scroll and look at UI designs.
Yes.
I'm blanking on the name of that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but there are ones where also people where you can have UX designer.
Oh, it's Dribble. You know Dribble?
Dribble, yes, that's the one.
Dude, if you want to get better at design, look at Dribble and
Hmm.
just like, I mean, you're probably already finished with the design now, but if you go
Yeah,
through like a couple thousand of those, just flip, 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 flip,
yeah,
they'll actually start to develop more of a taste. Like
yeah,
you'll see, like, okay, that's nice. Okay, that's detailed. Okay,
yeah.
this person is very observant in this spot, and they made something really special. And if you go through that flip, 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 you start to get a sense for who is really observant and detailed
Hmm.
and thought. And you can see there's different types of designers too. There's designers that are extremely accurate,
Hmm.
there's that are very artistic, and then there's designers that are both, right? So you want to get the guy that's both.
Yeah.
He's accurate and he's artistic. Some designers, like, it's like they pull together a design framework that's already
Hmm.
made, like make it look very accurate, but
Hmm.
they don't that, it doesn't have that artistic aspect. Other designers, they're focused more on the abstract and artistic stuff. Another thing you can do is if you take a designer who does a lot of artistic work and you challenge them to do a UI,
Hmm.
so really, really good, and there could be unique parts to that. Um, so
Yes.
I would go through Dribble. Another thing you can do is go on Fiverr. Is it Fiverr? Is that the one for designers? 99 Designs. 99 Designs.
Yes, I know that one. Yeah.
Go on 99 Designs and look at all the different designers. Go through their work
Hmm.
and go to the really high price designers, and then go to the really low price designers. And you can see
You can see the difference, right?
what's different. Sometimes you also get a sense for the designer's range, right? Like if the designers is like churning out the same type of design over and over and over versus a designer that has like something he worked on that he loved that was artistic, right? A lot of good designers have a really artistic core
Hmm.
and they like to create things the same way we do as devs. But then they have client work,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
then down a little bit for the clients. So like I would say also doing that is pretty cool. I'm sure you probably know all this. You actually have a pretty good design eye. Like if you look at TitanX Hub.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I work with the designer. Like I've been working with him for I don't know the last 5 years or so, and we're doing all kinds of projects. But these are like more Web 2 projects. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I've been working with him for so long time, and because at the end of the day, it's like, uh, I mean I've been working with him for a long time, so I know how he like it's very easy to work with him, because like he sent me stuff. I'm like, I don't like this, do it this way. So I think the biggest problem I have a lot of times is like when you work with new people, it's that initial back and forth, to get the groove, like because
Yeah.
it's sometimes very hard. And and also like I like my design as well because he's very fast.
Yeah. That's
you
good.
know
There is definitely also like And by the way, this is all really good alpha for builders. There is there's a lot of value in someone that can execute, like even if their designs aren't necessarily like elite.
Yes.
If they're highly responsive and they produce really decent work like consistently, that's also very valuable.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's all kinds like there's such a variety of designers.
Yeah.
It's a bit different with dev because like basically actually not that different with devs, I guess. It depends.
Hmm.
Because like you have certain devs that are very bursty and like they want to build like I was a very bursty dev. I was like, I want to build this, I'm interested in this. I'm gonna solve this problem.
Yes.
I find it personally interesting to solve it, you know. But like if you task me on dev with something that I'm not interested in, I'm like, fucking hell,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And I get to this everything, but you know, it's so some people are just more bursty and more focused on the creative part, like the building part and the inventing part. And then some people they're good at like the frontline like work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
same with designers.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like my designer. By the way, if you guys need any design, whatever, let me know. I'll pass it over to him. Um, I just like that. Like I tell him something on a Sunday afternoon, and then it's like I don't know. 3 hours later, it's like, hey, here is the first version. I'm like, oh
Wow,
man, this is good.
that's fast.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, this is something good. Yeah. Anyway, here Volt is asking already. Matrix. Yeah, let's get started. So I'm just gonna start probably with a bit of like an elevator pitch, so that you can know. So probably just Matrix. What is it? It's a cap supply deflationary token. The input token is going to be TitanX. It's a 20-day auction system, but by the way, in the first 8 days, 80% of the supply is going to be distributed. So yes, it's going to be 28 days long, but the 8 days is going to be the most of the supply. There's going to
Why
be. Go
that?
ahead.
Why did you decide to do that?
The thing is, initially, my thought process was that I wanted to have an auction system. Like initially, I didn't like auction system, right? That was like auction system. I don't like them. But then, at the time when Volt came out, I was like, okay, if you make it short, then that's not a bad thing. Because the issue with not the issue, but one of the things with the auction is that you need to participate every day, and people are busy.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, people are just busy, and it's like, hey, you are asking people's time every day for so many days. It's gonna be a bit hard because everybody has to whatever take out their ledger or whatever or their hardware wallets and do some action every day. So I didn't like that initially. So but then I was like, okay, if you keep it short for 8 days, maybe if you just ask people to participate in those 8 days or so, I mean, they can participate longer if they choose to as well. But I think initially those 8 days is something which people can do. It's not as much, right? And obviously, I'm gonna try to send reminders on Twitter every day so that whenever they see it, maybe they can just they can participate in the auction. So initially, that's what was my thought process regarding the auction there.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're probably going to get a lot more engagement up front there, and then it will peter off because the ROIs are going to drop after the first 8 days, or I
Yeah,
guess
I
it's
mean, yes, yes, yes. So days, the rest of the days is I think 18% of the supply. I mean, we can probably go later on. I mean, in the white paper, the numbers are right there. But I think 18% or so of the supply will be distributed every day for the rest of the 20 days. And the reason, I guess, why the rest of the day is also because of the patient incentive pool, which we're gonna talk a bit about later, and potentially there's gonna be some plays there as well if people choose to participate in that game essentially. So there's definitely a bit more time where you can have. Yeah, you can have a bit more time in the patient incentive pool. I can talk about that a bit later on. And the next point is probably the buy and burn, which is obviously like every project. The buy and burn is something important for this project as well. And the buy and burn is going to be fed one, by the incoming TitanX, people going into the auction, and then secondly, is going to be also in the hyper payout because I'm going to be staking. The input is TitanX, but I'm going to be buying hyper in an interval, and then I'm going to be staking that.
Cool. Great.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
go ahead.
well, do you know how many people are staked right now and how much money have they staked? Do you know?
I mean, we can just probably go hyper.
Be interested to see like do you have an anticipation as to how much of the staking pool you'll take over?
So this is something which I can talk in a bit as well because if I'm not mistaken, Stacks and there's another project I haven't looked into it, but from my understanding, they're also going to be staking Hyper as well. Not everything, but I think partially some of the money which coming in on that project is going to be also staking Hyper. So there's going to be directly a competitor, you can say. So then I'll have to adjust and see how that goes from there. I mean, for now, I'm gonna share. So obviously, for now, is like there's only around 100K in the payout pool,
Mhm.
and which is coming in day 294, and it's day 279 already. So yeah, so there's that, and then there's obviously the day 369. There's like 218K essentially. But one thing you have to know as well is that there is definitely the Buy&Burn is still quite thick, and the way the payouts gets filled is through the Buy&Burn. So there's definitely going to be more coming in potentially for the day 369. The inflation
Yep.
in January for hyper is going to be, well, probably the highest essentially. But then, well, the Buy&Burn came kicked in, and potentially that pool is going to be getting more and more of that. So, I mean, that's like my perception for now.
Has
I would.
hyper mining like reached a certain average or consistency at this point? Or is it still all over the map? Because I know
Uh,
there's burst of hyper mining, right? But
the,
it's probably
Yeah, I think obviously, like I think it went back. I mean, obviously the ROI is definitely now for 88-day miner, you have minus 48%.
so I guess probably nobody's mining at this point.
I mean, I'll have to check the data again, but I mean, I mean, why would you? Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe you'd be anticipating like a run later or something. I mean, there
Well,
might be a people try to get ahead of that ROI.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there could probably be some of that. I mean, I'll have to look at the data exactly to have a look at that, but I would say not as much. I think more now the thing is that the inflation, I mean, all the people who have been mining, some of those miners are ending now and in January as well. So that's basically the inflation is going to be there. And then potentially in whatever, February or so, the inflation is going to be cutting off, and then yeah, that's that for hyper for now. But there's more data we can look into as well. I'm just gonna go back here again. Let me see.
Well, this adds a totally new bullish element to hyper. So it's cool. You're kind of like turning it a little bit more into Hydra with this.
Okay, how come? Yeah, go ahead.
Go
What
ahead, sir.
what what's your thought process regarding Hydra? I'm not sure
Well,
if
you're
I get it.
taking over the staking pool in the same way we did for TitanX, which reduces the interest in staking in general, and means there's probably going to be more liquid hyper on the market.
Yep, yep, definitely. That's definitely gonna be so. Maybe we can just go through here as well, which is I mean, just probably the rundown. I mean, for most people, they know already how auction system works. You as a user, and this is also something important as well, right? When you can deposit, so the input token is TitanX or ETH. If you deposit ETH, it's gonna just buy straight away a TitanX essentially, and that is obviously to I think who was it again? I think said. I mean, the narrative is like you don't have enough Titanx, right? use your ETH if you don't have enough. So I thought that was something which is just important to go about it. So I mean, as I said earlier, there's a 28-day auction, which is like in two phases you can think of, right? 80% of the supply in the first 8 days. So that's the majority of it. And well, the reason why I did that was obviously that is like asking for people to be 28 days to participate every day is quite a lot, but probably just 8 days in the beginning, I think that's something probably more doable. That
Yeah.
was like more my thought process. And then the other thing, which is probably a bit different than all the other projects or all the projects like Vault or anything, is that um, if you enter the auction the last hour, you receive your tokens not at the end of the auction, but 1 hour later. And the reason why I did that was because I've been observing that in this auction, there are like some bots, which is, I mean, if you know what you're doing, they're not very hard to build actually, where people like just bots can essentially just really one block before the auction ends, they participate and then they auto dump straight away.
Mhm.
And I thought I would rather have a human at least do that than like some fucking bot.
Yep.
Yeah, so I thought that was something which I just had to do because it just, yeah, I mean, you have 23 hours to get in, right? The last hour is just you're gonna get it 1 hour later. And probably also something to just mention is that um, the whole point of an auction essentially is not you making ROI straight away. It's actually just more a way of distributing tokens, right? So this is something just people to know is like it's just a way of distributing tokens, right? I mean, you can do there's like three ways, like main ways you can distribute tokens, right? You can do mining, which DragonX is used. You can do this auction system, which like Vault and there are some other projects have done on and then you can just do the normal minting. So there's like essentially like three things you can choose. So every project have to somewhat choose one of those three, and then obviously there's like you can mix them up a little bit and like change up the parameters, but essentially from what I see is like there's those three main categories where you can distribute tokens.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why no build on TitanX protocol has like looked at what Hex did with the AA lobby. I think actually there is a protocol coming that has limited entries per day, right?
I think I read something yesterday, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's something. Yeah. So how does that work? I'm not sure exactly.
Well, during the initial launch of Hex, I think it was the first year, or
Hmm.
I think it was first year. Basically, there was a distribution via a daily auction, effectively.
Yeah.
It's called the AA lobby, but it was limited. So there was a limited amount of hex coming on that day, and the people who were there could take that hex, right?
Okay, but is
Uh,
that just not a normal auction system?
it is basically an auction. It's with it had a declining issuance as well. It's like the
Okay.
auction was,
Okay, but I mean, at the end of the day, this is just an auction, right?
I guess, but I mean, it's changing the amount per day that's issued.
But I mean, yeah, okay, but it's at the end of the day, it's just a parameter change in an auction system.
I would have to look back at it actually to see.
Yeah.
It's effectively an auction, a type of auction.
I think, I mean, from what I'm hearing, what you're saying is just an auction. I mean, I guess it just has another name and but the parameters are pretty much the same. I was actually thinking of doing something like that, right? Like an auction where the distribution daily goes down. I had a lot of other things I wanted to do actually, but one of the things which I realized, well, not realized, I knew this because I used to work as a embedded system engineer, is that you have all these great ideas, but at some point you need to choose one because once you start building, at some point it's going to be very like essentially once the hardware has been built, you cannot change it.
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously, still like these contracts are obviously still software, so you can still change a lot of this stuff. But once you're far deep into it already, and probably the first audit has happened, there's not much you can change now anymore. So there are some ideas which I had, and I was just like, oh no, I would like to change, but now you can't.
Random idea would be, do you know what a Dutch auction is?
Yes, I know, man.
Yeah, that's is that
CowSwap
what, cow swap. Cow,
does that.
oh, right, because it's like OTC, right?
Uh, I mean, a Dutch auction is essentially. I mean, it's like a time decline, right? It's like, but it's essentially the, let's say, I don't know, Ethereum right now is $3,000.
Yeah.
They start the auction at extreme now 3,100, and then after every block it just goes down, and the bidders can be like, okay, I can fulfill that.
Yeah.
That's why like
Yeah.
call
So
swap is such. So go ahead, sorry.
it drops over time, whereas like the Volt auction, it's like the best entries at the beginning because you get the highest ROI. Right. So it's like the opposite of like what Volt is doing, kind of. Like you would
Yes.
start ROI low, you would like ramp it up with the Dutch auction, right?
Yeah, but I mean the dark auction per se, I mean it's probably a bit different, but I mean like in like the way CowSwap is doing it is basically to get the bidders out there, all the fulfillers, to fulfill, give you the best price possible. Be-
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
I have to look
so
back, but it ultimately resolves to the same thing, right?
it does, it does. But I mean, probably just like the way like the Dutch auction, how CowSwap does it. I mean, that's why it's like I'm a big fan of CowSwap. By the way, it's like the Cow protocol is they pioneered this whole system actually to do like the trading, right? I mean, like to swap one token to the next one. Like it's actually pretty insane. Like I really look deep into it, and obviously I have a connection with some CowSwap dev. I'm chatting with them and improving some of the stuff because obviously that's the one I'm using on Titanic sub.
Mhm.
Um, all right. Anyway, so we went off a tangent here, Eric.
Yep.
So here so here you enter via Titanics. If you have 23 hours, the last hour you're gonna get it 1 hour later. So that's that. It's just to prevent some bots to do the auto dump. 4% goes to BUT protocol, DragonX, and Phoenix. By the way,
Mhm.
DragonX is obviously that Titanix will be locked forever, and they're gonna potentially receive more Ethereum. And when they buy Titanix, will pump the whole system. So that's the reason. And then Phoenix is gonna be very very similar. They're gonna be staking that Titanix forever as well. They're gonna receive Ethereum and some other. I think Flux and other stuff. I have an interview on Friday, by the way. But nevertheless, the whole idea about this was just essentially one. I'm a bill on Titanix project, and I need to burn some. I need to burn some Titanix, and I don't. I didn't want to be last on my own website, man. On Titanix Hub, you know. It's like
Yeah, we talked about this actually, didn't we?
we
Well,
did
now,
talk about this.
yeah, I mean, I thought that it would be because DragonX has such a dominant position already that it would be better to like buy and burn DragonX or potentially submit the funds elsewhere. Um, but it's fine. You want to get it burning in. It's still it's beneficial for everything anyway. So
Yeah. You know, the thing is, right, for me, my thought process was like, because I think one idea which you had told me is like, okay, send that percentage to the DragonX Buy&Burn. But the thing is, like, the only thing which is gonna happen with that is like it's only gonna pump DragonX only. Is like
yeah.
I want Titanix to pump because that will pump the whole system. So and somebody participating in Matrix, like how would they understand that I'm sending Titanix to the DragonX Buy&Burn? It's like, bro,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Yes, I am a hold of DragonX, but sure, I like to pump it, but like, hey, other people don't. So
I don't know, yeah.
you
It's a
know,
little bit self that suggestion. I agree on that.
yeah. 8% to Genesis, 8% to Liquidity Wallet. I think we talked about this as well. And probably I'll say something to that, right, regarding the Liquidity Wallet, right? This is something important as well, is because since we have a very like it's hyper matrix. That's a very exotic pair, right? It's like uh, price discovery. It's actually not so easy. I think probably you've seen guys with was it Turbo, right? It took some time, even deck screener and everything else, to show up the price. And this is the reason why you need to have other liquidity pools as well, so that you get the price discovery in the dexes to just to be quicker. So that's one of the reasons for the liquidity wallet. The other reason as well
Well,
is obvious.
go ahead, finish. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
interrupted.
So that's definitely one of the reasons, because I was talking to Steve, and yeah, I mean, first he was actually worried that the price will not show up at all, right? Because that could have happened, because I couldn't even show the price on Titanic up, because obviously it's like the price feed. I get the price feed from all these services. So that's the one point. The second point regarding the liquidity wallet as well is like, if I can, you can also strategically add liquidity to make it thicker, and you can put it both ways. I mean, here I have Titanic's, and there is 2% goes of the supply also goes to the liquidity wallet as well, so that can be placed as well. I mean, those are the two reasons why I had it.
Personally, I am against this. I don't know because, for example, you have Titan Farms backing you up, right? So if you reach a certain volume level, which I'm sure you will, because you're launching actually into a perfect time, because we've already done it. Now you're launching at the bottom of a dip.
Mhm.
So you're going to see an upswing in interest and adoption. So you have Titan Farms to give you liquidity. Do you know what the threshold is for the if is Dex Screener or something doing like a threshold to on liquidity?
Yeah, that is the thing which I just don't know. Like, I mean, because the price was not even showing, although there was around 150K.
Right. So I don't
Yeah.
think that's what probably just them indexing it or being slow to index it in that
No,
case.
is not directly, but the thing is like, the further away your pool is from Ethereum, the harder the dollar price, computational wise, is to do. So you need additional pools, so that even like, so that you can actually, like, the price can be calculated at all.
Mm.
You can just see, like, just wait until, let's say, Phoenix. Yeah, you're gonna see them with Phoenix as well. Like, yeah, it's gonna happen on Saturday. Um, this is also gonna be, I think, Phoenix with Inferno, right? So that's like a very exotic pool as well. Something very similar is gonna happen. He will need to create additional pools, especially like with Titanics or so that at least the dexes can start picking up the price.
But
So
for example, AwesomeX is indexed fine, right?
index fine, yeah. But the thing is, like, it also depends very much, also because you have liquidity between DragonX and Titanic's is very, very thick. And that pool is being indexed quite a lot.
There's only
So,
64K in liquidity in AwesomeX.
yeah, yeah. But that, like, from my perspective, the why that works actually is because you have very thick liquidity with DragonX and Titanic's, and that's like a very frequent path, let's say, for the dexes. So they can pick up the prices very easily from that. I've been talking with the
Why not?
Council of Dev back and forth regarding this, and some of the tips they're just giving me, that those are. And
So
the
the
thing
but
is not
establish
only cow swap per se, it's all of them essentially, like all, like para swap or whatever, 1 inch or anything. They have that, they have that that problem essentially.
okay.
Mm.
That's interesting. I mean, I it hasn't stopped other low liquidity pairs from being listed though, you know, and being showing up, right? Significantly, like maybe for a few hours. But
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, we saw it with Tobo, like it was more than 24 hours, and only after he created those pools with Titanics and I don't know, he created like 2 or 3 pools or so. Then the price started showing up a few hours later.
hmm,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, for me, it just seems like it's It seems like a lot of money to put into a separate liquidity wallet, but whereas it could be used for buy and burn or something like that. But if you're talking to devs who understand under the hood what's happening and it's required for a fast listing on a DEX, then that's probably what's best.
Yeah, I mean, like you want that as soon as possible, so that at least like people can go to some dexes and they can start trading the pairs essentially.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean that's one of the big issues, right? And then some of the stuff is as well, like they're picking up, like when you even create these pools with very low liquidity, those price fixables, they don't even visit them or they don't use them at all, and then now you have completely different prices. So that's also something you have to look into when some of these pools when you create them, so that they're not too low liquidity, because you have the main pair, and that's where most of the trading is going to happen. And then if you create a second one, obviously some of that was going to be some of the funds going to be routed through that as well. But if it's too thinly created, the price of that pool will be off, and these price fixer bots will only arbitrage that if they have a little gain, whatever. I mean, they don't care. 10 cents is for them plus. So as long as there is gas fee and they can make 1 cent, they will still happen. So not making it too low, I guess. That's also something important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have matrix hyper, matrix titan X.
I have to. I have to. Like, I mean, they definitely, so that at least some of those like those issues with the prices don't happen. You see this problem with like Flux also. That
Hmm.
they have the same issue essentially.
How much liquidity is in Flux?
Not so sure. I mean, we
Not a
can
matter of
check.
liquidity, it's a matter of distance from ETH pair.
Sorry.
It's a matter of distance from ETH pair or liquidity in the primary pool.
I think the most is ETH pair essentially, because that's where all the reference price is, and they have to essentially like transverse all the way through the path to get there.
Hmm.
Yeah. So Flux.
Yeah, Flux chart a bit odd there, the way it is working.
Yeah, but I mean, like you can go and try to see like in whatever, like some of these dexes, and it has definitely some issues at times with that. I mean, yeah, they have 36K. So how much is that? Yeah,
Flux
60.
Inferno 250. Holders volume is 150K. It's decent.
Okay, this okay. I think I'm reading the. Okay, this is maybe the pair I'm just having here.
You've got your Flux Titan X.
Okay, they have
So,
different pools. Yeah.
so what is the primary pair of Flux? Is it Flux
I
Titan
I,
X?
I think it's is it Flux Titan X? I believe so. Yeah, yeah. I think that's yeah, that's the primary one.
No, no. Flux Inferno is the primary one.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it has more liquidity.
Mm.
Shouldn't say it's necessarily the designated pool, but
Yeah. I'm not so sure. No, I mean I'd have to speculate. But I thought it was Flux Titan X is the main pair, but probably it's only 36K here. So maybe there is actually other pairs with Flux Inferno has more. You said?
Flux Inferno has more. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Or 49K.
And I wonder why this hasn't affected like Awesome X, for example, which has even less liquidity and is only, I think the primary pair is just DragonX, right?
DragonX, yeah, but I think it's like it's just the main pathway is between, like how much is there between DragonX and TitanX?
It's
And
4
of the
million.
4 million, yeah. So I mean, the very very thick liquidity, and probably the volume every day is a couple millions, right?
Yeah. I think it's actually lower now. It's only
Well,
400K.
400K. Okay, okay. Well, I guess I'm still behind in my in my head. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you think it needs to be done, then I would say go for
Yeah.
it.
So let me go. Oh, here I got somebody saying here. Incredible, Mike. The bubble chat is so cool. Yes, it's not yet out. It's not yet out, but I'll try. Try to push it today. There was some error happening. Alrighty, so we're back. Man, we went off a tangent here. It's crazy.
Good.
It's good.
Let's go on some more tangents.
Yeah, all right, let's continue and then we'll find out. So 80% of the Titanics coming in will be going and buying hyper in some ways, right? In the beginning, obviously, it's going to be 50-50. So this is the buy hyper with Titanics for Matrix Vault, right? And then on the right side is going to be buy hyper with Titanics for Matrix Buy&Burn. So this is the division. So obviously something different here probably to DragonX is that I think DragonX you staked everything first and then you just got you got the ETH essentially, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. But the thing here with hyper is like there is not enough hyper there, so it's like that's why some of that economic value has to go to the buy and burn.
Mhm.
Yeah, and also something to note as well. There is going to be an abbing key here, which is just in the beginning. If it happens to be going, if there's going to be too much money going to the matrix vault, there is a way how the percentage can change so that it can go more to the buy and burn. That was just important so that obviously it's like, okay, if it's too much going, it makes no sense to have a lot of it into the matrix vault. It just made sense so that we can, it can go more to the buy and burn because you don't want to just its economic value has to somewhat be preserved.
Is that for the duration of the 28 days, or is that
Just
something
for
that?
for the 8 or 28 days essentially, because
Mhm.
then it basically it's not a perpetual auction, by the way, so it ends 28 days. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So that was the reason. So it's only for those 28 days, and then So initially it's just set to 50-50. And then if I'm seeing, okay, maybe it's too much money going on here, we can set it up higher so the percentages can be a bit more for the buy and burn. And that's where you can have a bit more, just economic energy, save it a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, from now, I mean, like for a lot of people, this is somewhat very clear. Here, you're going to have, this is essentially just like a buy and burn, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be very similar to like Titanix or DragonX or so. You can change the slippage, cap per swap, interval, and incentive fee. And it's obviously an interval. Start buying hyper, and then it will go to the matrix vault, and then it's gonna stake that it's gonna max stake it for 3,500 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
So
these
and then go ahead.
can you restake?
So when it ends, it will be restaked essentially. They
Okay.
will never come to circulation again. Yeah. So this hyper essentially will never come back to circulation. It's So I mean we have different vaults. So when 1,000 fill up, we can just create a new one. Actually
Great.
creates automatically a new one.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then can go. And obviously, the way it works, it's we're gonna max stake 100 billion at a time, so that we can get the extra 8% extra share. Bigger pays more. So that's that. And
Yep.
then once the payout comes, the claimed hyper in the payout cycles, 4% goes to Genesis, and then 96% left. 50% of that will be going to the Matrix Vault to be restaked, and then 50% of that will be going to the Matrix Buy and Burn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. So and then here this is somewhat very similar. It's just going to be buying up hyper. So we're going to have Titanix here. I mean, this is drawn as if it's two different things, but it's just the buy and burn essentially, right? So the buy and burn will have Titanix, and it will have hyper, and and it can also accept ETH. By the way, this is just something which I was just wanted to make sure that I'm building something which is where you can build upon. So that's why the Matrix Vault and the Buy&Burn, they can all accept Titanix, ETH, or Hyper. So if a project or some few ideas I have myself with Titanix Hub and all the other things, if they happen to send Titanix to the vault, essentially it's just going to be buying Hyper and max take that. So if you
Nice.
send ETH, you're just going to buy Titanix, Hyper, stake that. And if you send it to the Matrix Buy&Burn, it's just going to buy Titanix, buy Hyper, Buy&Burn.
Can you tell us more about the submissions you had in mind for TitanX Hub and Matrix?
I mean, this is something which I will. I have some few ideas, but I'm still working on them. So I once they're realized, I think that's better than to essentially talk about them. But but I mean, there's some few ideas which I'm working on. I mean, definitely there is a lot of more work I need to be doing than there's time in the day. I'll tell you that. Yeah, but I think probably very similar to you, Eric. Is that correct?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Of
So I
course.
mean, the ideas, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of things, and the beauty of like something like probably with Titanix Hub is there are some few things which I can just test out very quickly and see how they work. I mean, just had the idea with the bubbles, let's say. I mean, that's just one idea, right? That's something which, I mean, I had the data ready essentially and I was working on, and one day later it's almost there. Very, very sad that I did not make it in the stream, but it is there. So, but there's some other ideas as well, right? Which can be implemented, and I'm working on them as well already, and potentially could be very very interesting. But but the thing is, they need to be ready and working, and then you're just gonna see the effect of it.
So actually, if you go up,
Yes.
so that's for vault, but what about Buy&Burn submissions? Can you submit anything to that?
To the
Can
buy
you
burn?
ETH, Titanix, or Hyper to the Buy&Burn?
Yes, yes. They're very, very similar. You can submit. I mean, this is just like a smart contract, and you can submit anything there. I mean,
So if
it
you feel
has.
you were, yeah, if you were sufficiently funded, if the Matrix Vault was sufficiently funded, you could also send it to the Buy&Burn.
Yes, yes. But I mean, this is exactly. But this is something which I thought about later, and the split here happens directly. So I'd have to gauge if it's too much going on there. Is like I have to just gauge it so that it goes here. So it's not afterwards. That's something which I thought later would have been better, but I think it's still okay.
Oh, you mean so you can't submit Ethereum or Titanix to the Buy&Burn after the auction?
Yes, you can. Obviously,
You can
that can always happen.
for upcoming projects, like for a new project, for example, or something
Oh
integration
yeah,
with.
yeah, yeah. No problem at all. Like the Matrix Buy&Burn can accept Titanix Etho Hyper.
That's fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
That gives you a lot of flexibility if you're going to integrate this with Titanix Hub to provide ETH where it makes most sense.
That was my idea, right? I was like thinking, okay, like it's. I think it just makes more sense to have it there. It's just there. It can be used, and it's just good to just have that optionality.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I mean, either Buy&Burn or also to the vault as well. It's just the same essentially. But here, obviously, it's going to be staked. So for whatever reason, maybe there's competitors coming, and they're. I mean, well, maybe Titanis can be sent there, and then just the stakes. Yeah, so that's the competition essentially, right? So that optionality just gives me a bit more room uh, to decide, okay, what makes best sense now, you know?
Yeah, one thing you could do is like if you're Genesis, you could farm Tink. And you could take that, sell it for Titanix, and put it in to the Buy&Burn or the vault.
I mean,
That'd be
yeah,
cool.
that could be something,
Genesis
right?
like that.
Yeah, I mean, that could be definitely an idea which can be done, right? Um, So probably the last thing, I mean, this is potentially just pretty much clear. I mean, for you, Eric, you know it more or less. Probably the only difference, I guess, it's the auction and probably some of the distribution here. They're a bit different. But definitely one thing which is somewhat different is this patient incentive pool. Maybe we can talk a
I love
bit.
it. This is a brilliant idea, Mike.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I think we had a talk about it, and I think there was a one thing you said, and that was really good, and I'll share it with you guys here. Is that the patient incentive pool is being funded by the Buy&Burn. 5% of the bought matrix by the Buy&Burn gets sent to this patient incentive pool. So one thing I initially wanted to do was actually to fund this patient incentive pool with just more inflation. And I think Eric was like, like new inflation is probably not a good idea. What if you actually do it through the Buy&Burn, right? And so I mean, obviously, I think that was a much better idea, to be honest, right? Because initially I just said it's like, you know what, whatever, 1% of the liquidity, like 1% of the pool or something will go here. 1% of the supply we can go to the patient incentive pool. But I think this makes this makes it better actually.
Yeah.
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 Because
You,
go ahead.
you are inflationary, moniker. Like
Hmm.
you're no inflation still. It's good.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, this is something which I really, yeah, I was because I think I talked to you, and then it's like I was thinking, and then I think 2 days later I wrote to you. It's like, yeah, man, I think that's a good idea, man. It's like I just had to take it.
I'm glad you did. I'm really glad you did.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there was some other ideas how to do it, but I was like, I think this is much better. I think I probably had a bit higher percentages, but I thought 5% is I think good enough. Especially this is going to be running all the time essentially, and that is as long as the Buy&Burn operates, this patient incentive will be filling up.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's great.
probably pro go
Yeah,
ahead.
let's finish it out with this chart, and then we can talk a little more about it.
Exactly. So let's put it this way. When you participate in, so what is the idea, first of all? The idea is essentially that when you participate in the auction, at the auction end, you can just claim your tokens. But what if you just wait longer? And the idea is like the longer you wait, the more matrix token you get. But how do you get these tokens? You get these tokens by waiting longer than anybody else, essentially, right? That's why it's called the patient incentive pool. And in the beginning, there is very low allocation, so it starts essentially at 0 and then it goes up to 1%. And the way you can think of this is the following, right? You as a participant who has not yet claimed the tokens, you're gonna have a share of how many, like your share is essentially how much you have of the people who have not claimed yet, right? So if you own 1% of it, you're gonna have 1% of the shares, right? But then it's like, okay, every day the allocation starts going up, right? So essentially, on a one particular day, if there is 1,000 tokens, right? Only 1% of that is gonna be can be distributed on that day. And the thing is, like, if you want to exit on this day, yes, you can exit, and you're gonna get your share for that day, and you're gonna leave the people behind, and they're gonna have a bigger share, and the allocation starts going up. So
Hmm.
if you decide to wait for 369 days, right, the allocation is going to be 100%. So all the tokens also, but relative to all the other people as well.
Inside that, within who began that auction at the same time.
And
For
to all the people who unclaimed, it's like a global pool.
Oh, it's a global pool. Okay.
It's a global pool for the people who are not have claimed.
Hmm.
Essentially, right? Like you participate, like because you are part of that pool. Essentially, like all of you have not claimed yet. So the bigger question is obviously what will happen is like, okay, some people will obviously claim along the way, and some few people will just wait. And it's something like, okay, what is there is a bit of like last man standing here in some ways, right? Because at some point you're going to have 100% of the pool. The last person will have 100% of the pool. So all the money coming in is just going to be going to him. And when that person decides to take to, like, there's going to be no shares at that point for that person who ends it. And if that ever happens, that 5% will just be burned as well. I just added that in as well to be sure. But
That's
I
good.
don't believe there's always that one guy who just last man standing is always there.
Of course. Yeah.
And potential, who knows? Maybe, yeah. Okay, we got here. We got.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll
Mhm.
let other projects or have their own spin on it because it's a really, really good idea. I think we were talking about how potentially if there's a quantifiable like ROI and it's above say 50 or 60%, that potentially it could be a candidate for PowerX. Yeah, we have to see how complicated it'll be to implement it, but if you
Yeah.
have an potential user for PowerX,
I
it's
think it's gonna
emotional.
be it's gonna be it's gonna be harder, to be honest, because I think it's yeah, I'm not so sure how. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty hard, you have to say.
Yeah, you think it's going to be pretty low ROI? Like compared to say a miner that has like 1,000% ROI or something. Might be
Yeah,
more.
because I don't think that's because here essentially this is more like, for people who just wait to claim, right? So it's not really, you have to participate in the auction first of all,
Mhm.
and like you, there's a lot of moving parts here, right? One is the buy and burn. How often is that going to run? That's one thing, right? And then there is like, okay, how much of that, how much will the patient incentive pool, how big will that be? And how
Yeah.
many people will not claim?
Yeah. It's tough to know.
It's like there is a lot of moving parts with this, so it's just it's yeah, it's kind of hard because the patient incentive pool is growing and
Mhm.
also decreasing as people claim. So there's I'm not so sure. Like I thought about it a little bit, but I was just like, this is a bit. It's gonna be a bit hard actually to pull off. To actually,
Yeah. I'll be really interested to see what the ROIs are on holding, like for example, for a given time period, like 88 days, for example.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it could be. Yeah, I mean, I think that would be clear once. I think the game has to run to actually have a sense of this a little bit.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So let's see here. McKinsey saying, Mike, why not auto convert Titanics to X28, then buy X28 to Hyper? Yeah, I mean, this is something which I thought about, but I mean, I was really too late in like the audits were running and everything essentially, so I just could not implement that. The other thing as well is X28 is a build on Titanics project, right? And it's there is no official like official as in there is no official X28 hyper pool. First of all, the thickest pool between X20 like between Titanics and hyper is the thickest pool is hyper Titanics. So any secondary pool between X28 and hyper is going to be less anyway because there's no buy and burn behind it or anything. And yeah, so in that way, I don't think it makes sense to do it this way, really, because it's like buying DragonX and then selling it down again to go to hyper.
Right. You'd have to, you're converting Titan to X28, and then you're going to route through probably what pair to get to Hyper, right?
Yeah,
So
I have to go
Titan X,
back to Titanics
yeah,
again, and that's another slippage. Sure, the pool is very thick for sure, but still, it's still there's definitely 1% is gone there, which is probably not that big, but I don't think that. I think it makes more sense if you are building on X28, a project building on X28 to do this stuff.
Yeah.
I think that makes more sense because imagine you're building something on DragonX, going through to X28, and then come back to TitanX and then buy DragonX again. I don't know. How does that sound for you, Eric?
No, I agree. Yeah, I think it's just a kind of inefficient to do it that way.
Yeah.
I like it in terms of that. Like you don't need to integrate every elements of it, you know, to have a successful protocol and something that's beneficial to the whole ecosystem. Like your focus is HYDRA,
Yes.
and that's what you want. You want to be a focused protocol. You don't want to be one of these protocols that's shotgunning out, so trying to capture a little bit of everything. It's important to stay focused, I would say. So I think you're achieving that.
Yeah, I think so. But I think, I mean, I think, what was it? Crypto connoisseur, I think, also mentioned this, something similar to that. And I just thought it makes more sense if you build on X28 project to do this. Because otherwise, if you're building on DragonX and you do that route, like how are you gonna save your money? Let's say, like, what is your like what is your funds are gonna be saved in? Are you gonna save them in Titanix? So imagine like something like Morpheus, right? They have Titanix in the I think, if I'm not mistaken, right? In the Buy&Burn they have Titanix and DragonX, right? Both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm not,
Did
do they? Yeah, I
it
think
pop
they do.
up correctly for DragonX? I can't remember.
Yeah, because I mean, I think they did accept Titanix. So I think they have both funds essentially, and
Mhm.
they can essentially, like, okay, buy up DragonX, and then they, with the DragonX, they Buy&Burn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be like Matrix gonna have like something similar, which is not DragonX but Hyper, right? I mean, I have Titanix and Hyper on top
Yeah.
of that, and then obviously I have the optionality of ETH as well. If there is any project or anything happening, that could also be feeding into that as well.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, that's true. All right. So we have a question for you here. Is inflation for Tink being offset by inflation at these levels for Tink?
I would have to go back and check what our like fair value analysis is for Tink. But the price is looking really buoyant. What is it right now?
Oh, we can check.
40 cents. Yeah. It just goes to show you how robust this platform is because we still have 100% APYs across the board pretty much. But we're way down. Like TitanX is way down and the volume across all the pairs is way down. A lot of Titan Tink has been burned now. 20% has been burned. Think about that. It's inflating, but still 20% has been burned. It's a really, really good protocol. So, I mean, clearly it's doing its job, right? Like, so I guess, yes, it is. We are offsetting inflation. Clearly. I mean, we burned 20% and the price is at 40 cents. So,
Yeah, 42 cents. Yeah.
I think it's pumping a little bit right now, actually.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what happens when the volume returns. I mean, you could see multiple dollar Tink very fast.
Mm-hmm.
At the peak, I think we were managing 8 million in volume. I have to go back and check to see how much we're managing now, but it's a good bit below that. So I would say once this consolidation ends, like you see this low volume because we're kind of consolidating. Buyers are flipping sellers finally. And sentiment is shifting, and once the volume picks back up, yeah, I think Tink is going to do really, really good. And we have other protocols launching on Tink as well. So yeah, Tink is looking very, very good.
Yeah, I have the website here.
It's crazy, really, that you don't need to sell or do anything in these dips. All you need to do is you can just make Tink and keep your funds in Titan farms. I'm surprised more people aren't doing it during this dip. I think it's really interesting that people are do that. I think some people really got caught in the FUD of various shillers just basically fudding down TitanX. they don't want to see the future. They don't see the future potential in it. They're uncertain. They pull their liquidity. The
Yeah.
remaining 100 people are basically these people are putting a floor on the entire ecosystem and they're earning a lot for it. So it's great. Titan Farms holds the whole ecosystem together in a way.
Yes.
And I think once, like one of the reasons why we've elected to get people to talk about Titan Farms to DragonX is because it benefits the entire ecosystem like in a really big way. So it's not just going to be DragonX being talked about. It's also going to be Titan Farms.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
We have
I
a
mean,
long-term vision for taking this to be a lot bigger. So I try not to
but
divulge too much details about connections with KOLs and things like that, but
mhm,
people are very impressed by this protocol. It's really a unique farm. Most farms they just fizzle out when the incentive token comes out. It just gets dumped and obliterated.
mhm.
Um, but with Titan Farms, we've landed on something really very sustainable, um, and people are interested in that. So yeah, it's gonna get a lot better.
Gotcha.
And to me, like it just feels like everything is just primed right now. We had this big shakeout. People are not feeling good about maybe not feeling good about some price dip, but what are we up from August? Like since we started running in August, what are we're still up significantly there. Let's have a look.
Let me just check.
We're up we're up almost 250% from August.
Like you're talking about Tink?
Talking about Titan just as a
Okay.
general view on the system.
Yeah.
Titan is up 250% since August. And we're just going into things are just starting to get frothy right now, right? Like people are just starting to think about rotating into alts.
Mhm.
Um, so this is a really good place to be resting while we wait for the next leg up, from my perspective. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah.
Things are
So I was just searching for on the bubbles here Titan X, but I found it. All right. Yeah, I mean, my perspective for now, obviously, as you just mentioned earlier, right, is yeah, like some of the people who are known in the community, or is obviously like they went mute and started flooding actually as well. On top of that,
God, I want to get into that part, but yeah, it's a cleanse, man. Like it's really interesting because there's a certain type of person that when they gain a certain amount of fame or notoriety, it just like phew, they just go off, you know? They
hmm
just get a little bit too crazy. And it's just yeah, it's very, very interesting psychologically to see what happens when people they start to obtain higher and higher levels of fame and notoriety and what that does to them. But ultimately, the cool thing is like they'll never be able to stop or resist the tide of a powerful community and an ecosystem that's built the way TideNext is built. It's very, very robust. So I mean, even DragonX is still up 1,000%. And so all this dumping, if you got into DragonX when I first streamed about it that the dragon was returning in August, you're up 1,000%. So you're resting on 1,000% gain, waiting for the next thing to happen, right? So as a community member, you should just be tweeting and talking about DragonX and and waiting to see this thing just continue its growth path. Um, and it's very, very interesting to see how people get shaken out and how different people respond to different levels of notoriety. Um, but ultimately, we're stronger than all of that, right? We've proven that, and
yes.
the chart looks beautiful. Like it's what we needed. It's not up only in a bull market.
hmm
You do,
hmm
DragonX ran before like most alts. It
Yes.
ran very early. Um, that was partly because of the low liquidity, but also it's just really well designed and it hit the market very early. So we were a bit earlier, I would say, than most alts, and now a whole new wave of people can come in and they can get a great price on DragonX and they can help us take this community even larger. So I mean, Mike, I know you were sniping the bottom there, but
Oh man,
it, it's like when you have a new community that's birthed and you have new founders who want to take their protocols to Valhalla, like you're going to go through phases of dumps, you're going to go through phases of sadness, capitulation, you're going to hit all the emotions. but directionally, TitanX is on a really good path. So you don't really need to fret too much if you're one of the OGs, if you're one of the people who really believes in the product. You can see like we had this drop in users.
Yeah.
This is like the weak hands were just knocked out here, you know? Like the people who are like, I don't know about DragonX. Maybe it's topping. Of course it's
Mm-hmm.
not topping. The bull
Mm-hmm.
market hasn't started, haven't even rotated into alts yet. We're
Mm-hmm.
still on the up. So of course it hasn't topped yet because the market hasn't topped. The market hasn't even arrived at small cap alts, right? Like right now, Bitcoin's doing a run. But when maybe Bitcoin's 200, then people will switch over to Ethereum and Ethereum will start its run, right? Everything leveraged to Ethereum will go up. And then
Yeah.
people will have that FOMO, right? They'll have that FOMO of, oh yeah, shit. Well, now smaller tokens are running. It's time to jump in. And then communities like ours that are so active and that have so much potential are gonna benefit during that time. So I think we're just the people who got in for the first 1,000% are early. They're very early. There's only 3,000 holders.
Yeah.
As I said before, KOLs, some of these KOLs can take a protocol and boom, there'll be 7,000 holders within a few days.
Damn, that's
So we
crazy.
haven't even unlocked that kind of level yet. We've been at this very community, grassroots driven level for the first year, building the foundation, building all the protocols, and burning a ton of Titanx. And now, like we're shifting into this new phase where adoption should be the primary focus, and effectively, like the people who sold, they didn't zoom out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They were just like, okay, it's topping, maybe it's over, I'm going to rotate it to something else. But you should always let your winners run, you know? That's my perspective. Obviously, you don't want to hold forever, but when something runs so much earlier than the rest of the market, that's just like, for example, look at Pepe, right? Like Pepe ran, so it was in the depths of the bear market, really, that Pepe had its first run.
Yep.
And now and then on consolidation. What was it, like probably 4 or 5 months of consolidation on Pepe? And now it's running again, right? Sentiment has shifted again back into large cap alt a little bit, right? And there's some meme coin narrative stuff. So the speculative cycle like hasn't really reached us.
I totally agree. I mean, the thing is like what we're seeing here as well. I mean, this was the crazy part, right? I mean, because especially here, right, Eric, you remember, right? I mean, people, I think this was around the minting phase or so. It ended, and then there was no stream. You were nowhere to be seen, Eric. And then people, people are like, "Oh, he is gone. He's gone."
Yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah, and people were selling, 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 and then things started picking up. And then what happened here? Like, what do you think was the catalyst here?
I think it was those first streams in August, man. Because I think people realized, and I've said this before, they only were looking at the buy burn and what could be done with that.
Yes.
But they weren't doing the fundamental analysis around the team, around what we're capable of, and around basically what this thing could be at its full potential in the throes of the bull market, right? They're only looking at, oh, I know this known quantity, and I decide that this known quantity is not enough for me to speculate anymore, right? But then once people saw that we weren't going anywhere, and I started to stream again, then they recognized that, like, okay, this person is actually here to stay. There are all these beneficial aspects to DragonX. You know, people were so early, they didn't even realize how early they were, you know? Like, I wonder if there's another, like, an analogous community to this one. Because we had a very long shakeout. Um, and then Build on Titanx started to really kick in around August, and people started to grab back onto the narrative. But I do wonder if there's another community that went through something like this. I guess it's not that uncommon because if you look at something like Pepe, it was the same thing,
Yeah.
right? It was kind of like dying for months, bleeding out. Everyone thought they missed it. Since then, it's done like another, what, 100x?
Yeah, I mean, some of these meme coins are
Per
just crazy.
second.
I mean, especially Pepe, right?
It's a good example of it because it just ran so early. People are very reflexive in their thinking. As I was saying, it's the hunter-gatherer thing, right? Like, if the tribe is moving in one direction and you're not moving with them, then you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
But
because
the
you can
thing, like,
die.
you can die, you can die. But no, the thing is, like, it's not quite like that because of the stickiness of Titan X and the yeah. So okay, let's have a look at Pepe here.
You want to share
Uh,
your screen?
I'm not going to share, but I will look at the.
Should
So
I open something up? You can let me know.
yeah, if you want to look at Pepe chart, we can just show some because it's kind of interesting. So do.
Bebe.
Man, I mean, this is actually kind of similar, right? Like it went up 1800%. Okay. At the peak, it went up 5,000%. Then it went down to 800% from launch. Basically, oh, actually, no, actually, it went even
There's
higher,
no way.
5,000%. So it did a 5,000 50x.
From the bottom.
Uh,
Like, what was the bottom of Pepe?
the
Damn.
bottom of Pepe was a 5,000%.
Somewhere here, right?
Uh, and then it hung out there though. It hung out for
Is it even?
from April 23 to January, February of 24. It just hung out in the same price range. So for months, it just hung out in the same price range, right?
Oh, hold on 1 second. Am I looking at the right pool?
Pepe Rapid Theory.
Paper Wrap Ethereum, 81 million liquidity.
I think your scale is a little bit off. That's why.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. I just because I just put too much. So this was this the initial run? April?
Yeah, I think that was the initial run there.
Okay. Damn, that's
See,
crazy.
so it's still actually, if you put it on log, it's a lot easier to see, Mike.
Yeah, yeah. Shit. Hold on.
It's good to use log because
I mean, I think
that's for
wait,
how the move felt for the user.
was it not that log already? Man, my mouse here is my new mouse is
Right?
not great. I mean, I have
Do daily time frame?
yeah, I do
Like,
it daily. Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
this period, this languishing period here, see this?
Here?
Like after that initial spike, the
Yes.
token's still up 5,000%, right? And now it's going across on this lengthy from May to March.
Yes. How many days is
Yeah.
that? Can we see?
It's a long time.
That's a long, long time, man. Let me see. Where's the man? Okay, my mouse is not. It's not doing what it wants. Okay, hold on. Anyway, I mean here, this is being yeah, and obviously everybody left here, right? Not everybody, but a
Yeah,
lot of
well,
people.
I don't think he knew what was going on, but it's kind of obvious. Like there was some stagnation. And people kind of recognized again, right? So it did another leg up, and then it did another.
Yeah, I did like we had here this first run, second, and now it's coming back again, right?
It's done multiple legs up, right? So the next leg up
Yeah.
was a measuring tool here. Where's the measuring tool? Here it is. So it did that first leg up, then it kind of stagnated. Then it did another 1,500%. Okay, then it stagnated again for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and now it just hit all-time high.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
that's crazy.
So it now did another 300%. So sometimes like and that's I bet there are other charts like this of protocols that launched
Mm-hmm.
in the bear market, right? Still, where they kind of had these periods of stagnation simply because the project existed for such a long time and it was not an optimal market, you know? The market was still pretty low. So I think it's kind of analogous to that.
Yeah.
Where we kind of had maybe that first run down there like they had in May. And we didn't really know what's going to come next, you know. But
Oh,
the
here.
thing about it is it's extremely strong, right? So I would say like the current top would be like similar to that first. Who knows? I'm not trying to give like price appreciation. Um, I'm not trying to give forward-looking price statements.
Mm-hmm.
I think we launched in a very, very down place. We demonstrated some value. People recognize that value, and we're still ahead of the market, right? So now the next phase, the team is evolving, our strategies are evolving. Meanwhile, DragonX is being burned, right? We're shaking out weak hands. We're developing new floors. and then we see what comes next, right? So it's a bigger scale each time, um, and that's the goal, right? That's the plan with a good project would be you're not a one-trick pony,
Hmm.
and that's why coming from tech, you know this too, Mike. It's about the people. It's not really about the initial product because
Absolutely.
it'll always happen. There's always elements that need to be updated, and if the team isn't able to shift to where the market is going, then they could be left behind. But I think the smart people, they were looking at something bigger in DragonX than just some money for Buy&Burn, right? But the more transactionally minded people, the people that don't believe, they just looked at what was there at the time and they just decided to make a decision to sell. Um, Ultimately, what we're seeing right here in terms of dips is mostly Titan-X dipping. If you look at the Titan-X to DragonX ratio, what was it, 28? And now it's 11.
Yeah, I
So
think that's the one I look at actually. I mean,
20,
that's something which I'm more interested in, to be honest.
so it's a 50% drop
Mhm. Yeah,
on the ratio,
yeah,
which is not significant. Like that's pretty easy to reclaim, I would say. So, so yeah, I think that's just some thoughts. Like it's a matter of it's more than just what you're seeing at the time. It's also a matter of what the team is building and what they can bring in the future. And waiting obviously for the market to keep up with what we're building.
I mean, it's totally right. I mean, one of the things, obviously, with a lot of like tech stuff is, uh, like on these startups. I mean, I worked up in startups and everything, and a lot of times, like these guys, VCs and stuff like that, they were betting on like teams or like people
Yeah.
who they knew is like, hey, they will be able to come up with new ideas or like whatever, learn from the market and shift their focus, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing, especially like in startups, anything, right? Because it's like there's so much uncertainty because you like you're doing something new with probably somebody's never done,
Mhm.
and you like the market will tell you what's wrong with your project, with your like with anything you're doing essentially, right? And you
Yeah.
need to be able to shift very quickly. And at times, I mean, it's very painful, I'll tell you that, with startups. but
Indeed.
uh, but obviously then when things start working out, it's just like, yeah, it's just amazing, right? I mean,
Yeah. And that's another thing is people who are very, very DeFi focused, they tend to be very analytical and they only see they analyze things by the numbers a little bit too much. But the DeFi stuff is really there to it's there to improve the chances of users and it's there to improve the environment for speculation. Ultimately, speculation still reigns supreme, right?
yeah.
So as long as what's being built and what the if the future looks bright, then there's still a opportunity for the coin or the project or whatever it is. So just looking at inputs like as they are today is always it's a mistake, I would say. Unless the team is like fully checked out, blah 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 blah. Um,
Yeah,
but I don't think you're seeing that in Titan-X. Like we're still launching protocols, right?
yeah.
Like we've gone through all the inflation now. It's just liquid Titan-X, and we're still launching protocols, and things are looking very vibrant, actually. We have new founders, talent founders that are stepping up to build even more cool stuff, right? So this is far from over in from my perspective. Like,
I mean, I share the same sentiment, to be honest. And the thing is, right, also like in crypto, it's like literally, I mean, just few green candles, things just change completely. Like you can see, like people are depressed today. Next day, things change, and people are just like euphoric again. It's like it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I do have this as well. I mean, especially in the Sunday spaces. Like I get a bit of feedback from how people are, like and that's something over the time you get to hear like what people are like, how people feel in some ways, right? And
yeah,
obviously the chart tells you that as well, to be honest.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Now, I'd be interested to know what are some of the things they are saying in those spaces.
I mean, like a lot of things, right? But I mean, there are some people who, let's say, I mean, over time, I mean, this was just a general statement, right? Which is like you see, like projects are launching. How do people feel about them? What they're talking about? Some of that feedback, and obviously, there's also sometimes a little bit. Uh, the emotions are high at times. So let's put it that way, right? And yeah, sometimes maybe not as good. I mean, especially me, is like because like I think to be a very principled person, and if people then try to take shortcuts and stuff like that, it's like I don't take those things very lightly in some ways, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's like some of the things which I'm just like, I mean, obviously like some of the Titanic's ethos, let's say, right? Especially like because I have the Titanic's website, right? One thing you mentioned is like, right, we have something beautiful here, and we have something here which is like safe for people to speculate on. And the
That's
thing
yeah.
is like, in my opinion, that should be the focus, to just keep it that way. And if people who are coming in and trying to like take things easier, like, man, it's not that bad or whatever, trust me, bro, man, I don't like the trust me, bro approach.
Mhm.
Like things are hard. Yes, a lot of things can go wrong, but I think just clear communication, and what things are happening and stuff like that is just very, very important, because at the end of the day, this is what we have. And if you have something beautiful, right, you want to fight to keep it like beautiful, right? I mean, if you have a nice house, right, you have your nice garden, you go out and take out the weeds out, keep it nice and clean, you know you
No,
know
no, yeah, I can see why people are maybe see. I think it's probably mostly driven by FOMO. People see other charts mooning, but the problem is like you're already exit liquidity at that point, right? Which is why a lot of people will say this, like, don't fumble your bag by jumping from one chart to another, hoping that you're gonna like succeed by just dumping all the knowledge you have in one ecosystem or one area and going to another quickly to chase a chart as it's like in momentum mode, right? You don't want to do that. That's not good. It's better to stay in a community and invest your time to get the word out than it is to jump over to another community or another or a bunch of memes, try to make a bunch of fast money. Um, yeah, I think that's a better approach because there's just so few people in Titan X right now that the opportunity is massive if the community can basically continue to talk about all that we have like over here. If you try to jump over now, right as the bull market is about to start for alts, and you try to jump into other tokens, you could get really, really burned. You don't know like what the founder, you don't know what people are holding. We do so many things right. I don't know why is he bringing up that?
Callum is asking, what's your thoughts on Harry Potter Wamasoni Inu? He didn't know about this coin, by the way. I told him about this coin. And the reason why I told him is because my neighbor is a whale in that.
Really?
Yeah, but dude, it's so crazy, man. I was talking to my neighbor and he's like, "Oh man, do you know take a Bitcoin?" I was like, "What? Bitcoin? Yeah, I know Bitcoin for sure." He's like, "No, no, no, take a Bitcoin." I was like, and then we got talking, and then I found out I think he bought it at 500K market cap or something. I think, I don't know, right now it
So
was at 200 or 300 million or something like that.
200 million. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Harry.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying, Mike, is people should go heavy into this token now that it's gone up thousands of X
No, no, no.
to give your neighbor liquidity.
No, 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 no. One thing for sure I can tell you, like you can check out that community to see how loud they are on Twitter. It's crazy. I mean, they have all these. I mean, like I like my neighbor has all these t-shirts and like everything. Like it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I think it's good to just learn a bit from other communities as well how they do it. It's a bit more different. They're very, very loud, and they also do a lot of crazy stuff, which is, well, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I think we do a really good job on Twitter. Obviously, when the price is down, people are tweeting less, but I think there's still a lot of people who aren't being active. And yeah, like what we do good is Twitter. Maybe more we could do is replies, like being reply guys a little bit more, replying on big accounts. Maybe rating big accounts would be good.
Hmm.
Um, but my point was really that you probably don't want to start jumping around and trading between a lot of different communities. It's probably better to invest your time and energy into one or two communities max that could bring you gains in the bull market, you know?
I mean, you just said early on is like the thing is also with the communities is if you go to another communities, like you need to know, like I mean, a lot of things. You need to learn a lot of things first, you know. So that's also something which will take time, you know, because now obviously, like you know,
They-
Eric,
yeah.
you know me, you know. So there's yeah, and we're going nowhere.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, I mean we're deeply embedded in Titanx, right? And like another cool thing about us is you can actually message founders. Like we're very accessible. You know, you can go into any of the chats and talk to people, which is great. I mean, it gives you a really good idea of what's going on. Whereas other
Absolutely.
protocols, some gigantic chat with 100,000 people in it, and there's just a few moderators, and you don't really know what's happening. You don't know when the founders have sold their tokens. You don't know when the people who got in early have decided to dump on your head. Blah 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 blah. Um, so that's definitely part of why Titanx is good. It's like founders are accessible, community is very helpful, and that's also very very good.
Absolutely, I believe that for sure. And I mean, one of the things also I don't know, I just happened to fall into as well is, um, which is very unfortunate. People get hacked or phished or whatever, like, and then they send me a message, and
Mhm.
in certain circumstances, I can help them out. And yeah, this is oh man, this pains me a lot, man. To be honest, it's like this is something which
Yep.
is like it's like I mean I and then is especially like there are some people definitely like first of all there are people who have been in who contact me who have been in crypto since whatever like 2012 or so,
Mhm.
and what they normally say is, oh man, I've been in crypto since 2012, I never thought this would ever happen to me. That's one. I'm just like, oh, okay. And then there's another cohort of people who they get hacked, and then I have few messages with them. I just realized they have no clue whatsoever what's going on. Like they don't know what a wallet is. Like I mean, there's just too many things that they don't know. So there is definitely lack of education in some ways, for a lot of people. But then again, it's literally 5 minutes YouTube video you can watch, and you actually know the basics.
Yep.
There's like few people who just don't know the basics. I'm just like, it pains me so much to. And I just before the stream started, I got a message. Somebody wrote to me. He's like, hey, I mean, let me. Obviously, I'm not gonna dox him. Hi, Mike. I've just been hacked. I won't mention the numbers. Uh, yeah, yeah. Can you help me? I'm like, oh damn,
But you've been able to save quite a few people, I think, right?
man.
By
It's
having,
crazy, man. It's crazy. I mean, the only so one thing I can tell you for sure is there's two types of things which can happen, right? One is just a malicious smart contract which you give permission to, and then they're just going to liquidate one token only. Obviously,
Mhm.
some of these malicious, what they try to do is the sophisticated ones. They try to get several approvals, so they start liquidating. They so the most basic one when you just give approval to a malicious smart contract is they just drain you one token. A bit upper, they try to just give you more approvals. So they drain you one token and then you just go to the next, and then they just drain everything you have. And then the most sophisticated ones on that front is they even jump to the next like from Ethereum to a next network.
Oh,
So
really?
they make you switch. This is so crazy. They make you switch, like, and people, like, when you're tired or whatever, it's like I've seen people, people written to me who have got drained 20 tokens or so in 2 different or 3 different networks.
Yeah, I would say just you guys got to be careful for imposters. I mean,
Yes.
so many people pretending to be probably you, Mike, me,
Yes.
many people. It's really a big problem on Telegram.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
so just be very careful. I mean, really, it shouldn't be in DMs with any founders.
No.
Um, just focus on just main chat. And as soon as you post a question, you're going to get fake people talking to you. As soon as you post a question where they think they can exploit you, you're gonna get messages from fake people. So
Yeah, they are very serious about that. It's like they work 24/7. I mean,
yeah,
especially with Telegram. Oh my God, it's so crazy because I'm not so sure, but I think it's an L and an I. They can be changed, and they look the same.
yeah.
Yeah. So for instance, like even my name, like I mean, somebody, I think it was one of the guys. I'm not so sure who he was, but he actually um he showed me a way where I could see my username, but when I clicked it, it was another guy.
Hmm.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I'm gonna check after the call. I'm gonna check your Telegram username, and I'll see if I can pull that trick as well. Because then you can at least claim that username so that nobody can use that. That's what I did.
You can claim the user.
Well, I mean, you just have to have a new phone and then just claim the username on Telegram.
Okay. But I mean, there's like a lot of variations that someone could take to potentially
I
scam
know,
stuff.
but the I and L one is the most pernicious one because from the eyes you cannot see it. I'll 100% be sure that's Eric
Right.
because the other ones are like an E looks a bit whatever, like with the French accent aigu, the. But no, the I and L. I think Mo had something very similar. I think they did it on Telegram. It's just 100% real.
Ultimately, you should just be very skeptical when you're talking to a founder. Like, unless you have an existing relationship with the founder, blah.
Yes.
But if you have no chat history with a founder and they're talking to you and they're asking you questions, that's a
Yeah.
really bad. Then another thing that people do is they do this one where they're like, they ask you, "Hey, what do you think about DragonX?" They send you a message. That's how it starts. If someone asks you, "Hey, what do you think about DragonX?" and that's their first message to you, that person is 100% a scammer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think they have some scripts that work for them. They're probably running through them. Um, that's one of the scripts that they use quite often. Is just starting by a general conversation. How are you feeling about this token? Blah.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah, it
So
was like, yeah, how do you think we can grow Dragon X or something? I think I got some of those from Eric,
really,
from the fake Eric. I was like, yes, it's like, yeah, he's like, what do you think about the growth? What can we do to grow? And I was like, damn. And then I checked, and I was like, damn, man. If I was
yeah.
half
Best
asleep,
way,
I would thought it was Eric.
the best way to handle that for those of you that are watching is like don't make a big deal about it. Don't post it in the main chat
Yep. Yes.
because it just becomes FUD. It's because unnecessary FUD. Like I'm not a scammer, obviously. So like if you're posting, oh my God, there's a guy, he's Eric scamming me in a chat, it just makes it look bad for new people. Just handle it
That's true.
gracefully, user. That's the best thing. Because I do see a lot of people posting whenever someone malicious talks to them in the chat, which can lower trust. But the reality is these are just people in God knows where who
Yeah.
are just trying to scam us all. So it's better if you don't post that stuff in the main chat. It's better if you just block them and move on. Like it's kind of obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the best way to go about it because even like one thing which I don't like as well is like if you find a malicious site or something like that, right? Is like I'm not. I think this is not a good idea to actually post on Twitter about that site because there
Of
is
course.
like, like if you say that to 100 people, there is still like like 1% of people. I don't know exactly the percentage. Like there's always a cohort of people who still visit that site.
Yes, exactly.
And I don't know
Oh,
why, but this is human nature.
Do not amplify any scammer messages by posting it again. A
Yeah,
certain number will follow, click the links you post. They'll follow the Twitter accounts you post.
yeah,
They'll click on the Telegram account that you post.
yeah,
So just don't. People are inquisitive. If you post a scamming site where people are being or they're being drained, like somebody's going to click on that and get drained.
yeah,
And that's going to get worse and worse as more and more people come in. So it is important that those of you that are watching now probably are probably pretty active, and you should be aware of this. Like the best way to handle this is just to block and move on.
yeah, yeah.
Don't amplify the message. Don't amplify the negativity, and don't amplify the scammers' ability to scam others.
Absolutely.
We have
And
a chat if you want to talk about it there. That's probably better.
what'd you say?
Uh, we have a TitanX moderators chat.
Gotcha.
That would be the best place to address that. Would be in that chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. Yeah, so probably just regarding security here, right? That was like one, the malicious contracts. That's one. The other one is obviously you handing. There's variation of this, right? You handing over your security, like seed phrase. That's one. But also, then again, this is also something very, very important. There are some jobs out there you get offered on Twitter, and they're like, oh yeah, we have this job, blah blah blah, crypto, whatever, this many hours, and you can earn whatever 2000 USDC, whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, before, here's the link to the whatever, like for the call. Oh, you need to download this, and that's how you get affected. And you think you're gonna get a job, whatever, and then you have to download like Zoom or something like that, and that's how your computer get affected. And obviously, if you're not using that, I mean, that's why, like, for most people, I still generalize, say, better to have a hardware wallet. I lean more into that hardware wallet plus a dedicated crypto laptop. The only thing you do on that laptop is just crypto, nothing else.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I'm still a proponent of a hardware wallet plus an optional um, dedicated crypto laptop. I think it just makes sense for most people. If you're a veteran, you know what you're doing. Obviously, there's other things you can do, but for most people, I think that just makes sense because even like most cases, even if I had a guy from Australia, he lost $2.5 million.
Wow, really?
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah. It's crazy. His computer was affected, and you cannot believe it's like one thing was affected was the what was the clipboard. So when you copy an address changes. That's one of the things they did. And that was so crazy because like I did a video call with him and he showed me his computer, and he copied the address, a normal address, and then when you paste it somewhere else, the scammer's address was there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
insane.
I don't know why people use Windows. Like, just don't use Windows for crypto.
Yeah,
A lot of people, I don't know why they use it.
I mean, okay, I mean, I guess I think it's at the end of the day, I think that's the majority of people. That's where their target is. I think so. I mean, if everybody's using Mac, that will also be more on that. I'm not sure, but this is like my general feeling in some sense.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, there's vulnerabilities on any OS,
Yeah,
but it's a matter of not being part of the dragnet. Also, I mean, I think Windows is probably, I'm not an expert, but I get a sense that Windows might be inherently more vulnerable to this kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I mean, I have a dedicated crypto laptop with a hardware wallet, and
Mm-hmm.
I also um, keylogger detector for a Mac called Rekey,
Mm-hmm.
which so if a keylogger does get onto my computer, it will be it will be detected by the keylogger detector. So you can go there if you're using a Mac OS,
Yeah,
you can get a
that's
keylogger detector as
that.
well as virus scan, which handles a lot of that.
Yeah,
So you need,
that's
and I have multiple virus scanners and also keylogger detector plus hardware wallet plus dedicated laptop, blah 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 blah. So I would recommend you guys use all of the above.
yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like, what I believe is like even Windows. I think Windows is still fine, to be honest with you. But obviously, Mac is way more safer because it's just the cohort of people using Mac in the world is just less. So all the scammers are like obviously 9 out of 10 if you choose a random person in, let's say, Western Europe, like they're gonna potentially gonna be using a window user. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know the numbers by head, but for sure. But nevertheless, it's like, even if you're using Windows, whatever, just get yourself Malware Bytes. It's a free software essentially, and you can scan your computer with it as well. And anyway, the point which I wanted to make is by the guy from Australia is he had all these things were running, but he had also, so he had a hot wallet and also ledger essentially. And obviously everything which on the hardware wallet was drained, and he didn't even know, but while everything all this was running, he could still use his hardware wallet without any issues on his compromised computer.
So it was just approvals. He gave up approvals.
No, he
He
did not give approval. He was sending money. I mean, this is also just educational thing. He
was
was
it
sending money to his hot wallet, and that's where he would do all the trading and the swapping. He didn't know that you can actually connect your hot wallet straight to MetaMask.
okay.
And then I'm like, oh my god, what? You didn't know that? Oh god. I mean,
Well,
I
we,
just.
we
Uh-huh.
maybe Mike, you should do a video for the community on security, or
Yeah, yeah.
for those for those of us who are newer.
I think
Yeah,
I think I'll do that definitely, like just for the people who are new and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, once Matrix is out, I guess probably I'll have a bit more time. Let's see how that goes, and then do something like that. Yeah, but I mean, this is something which is like really, really, really hard on me, to be honest, because like obviously I'm a very technical person, right? And when people tell me stuff and they just don't know the basics, it's like I cannot believe my eyes. I'm just like, oh my god, what are
normal.
you doing?
That crypto is the most adopted technology since the internet. The rate of adoption is incredibly high in crypto. So you have new people coming in all the time, right?
Yes.
So you have to expect that, like, yeah, there's some of us that, like, we're kind of like coder cypherpunk type people, but the sheer number of people that are coming into crypto is so high that it's just we're way past that now. Like it's way more people who are new. They want to make money. They want to try DeFi. They need a communication from us as founders about security. Otherwise, there's a chance they're going to get hacked. So it's on us. It's on the community to be a part of that, because ultimately we want that adoption. And if we want that adoption and we don't want to turn people off, then we need to help try to protect them.
That's definitely correct. Yeah, I mean, that's also essentially one of the reasons which I try to help these people as well, is just because I mean, it's essentially the last hope, right?
Yeah.
Because normally, like, everything liquid will be drained straight away, and anything essentially which has, the only thing which I could potentially save is like if you have something, a minor ending and stuff like that, or you have something staked. And mostly like these drainers, whatever, they don't come after the staking stuff. There are some like low level scam guys, they will also try to get everything, even the staked ones and everything,
Hmm.
right? And then at that point it's just me against them, like it's really PvP in some ways with me, right? So obviously, my success rate is pretty high because I use very well sophisticated tools essentially, right? But at the end of the day, it's like if they use the same sophistication tools as like myself, at the end of the day, it's like it's just now the battle of who is willing to pay more gas fees.
Right.
And obviously, like some of these scammers, like I don't know, they just want to win at all costs. Even yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, and you don't even know beforehand. It's like, okay, like you can set it very high, but maybe the scammer set it like so. Some of the times when I lose, essentially, and I hate it, man. I hate when these fucking scammers get the money, man. I'm like, fuck you, cunts, man. I fucking hate it. Dude. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but you're definitely right. The thing is, like, one of the things regarding crypto education is like I'm trying to like tweet out from now and then like this crypto it gets very repetitive, and for especially people who know that stuff, it's just like, bro, what the fuck are you tweeting, man? You know?
It doesn't
But
matter. So all our accounts are growing, so we need to make sure that we're paying attention to that and continually to reiterate the message. It's something I should do more of.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something which I'm like trying to focus on a little bit, because obviously like I do get the it hurts me the most because I get the people who actually get hacked. And like especially now when a lot of, I don't know, miners ending, Hydra, Hyper, a lot of these things, that's when I get the messages now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have shit tons of Hydra miners I need to save in the upcoming days. There's one in few hours. So so there's definitely gonna be some supply saved.
Good man.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Gotta really head off. But thank you for having me on. It was fun to catch up. And yeah, I mean, overall, I'm just very bullish on where we are right now. I think we've seen. I wish I could stream for hours with you and answer all these questions.
Yes,
But
yes, yeah. There's definitely a lot of questions. Yeah, there, yeah.
yeah, guys, feel free to come into the DragonX or TitanX chats or whatever chat and just ask there. I'm pretty active. And yeah, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric, for passing by, man. And let's hope this was the stream which make things pop off in a few days, man.
Yeah, December 15th is going to be a very interesting day. That's all I'll say.
All right, yeah, that's
See you
interesting.
guys
All
later.
right, thank you, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.